What's up, NBA fans? The season is just around the corner, starting on Tuesday, October 22nd. But on today's show, we're going to talk about the latest NBA trade rumors before the regular season gets underway. I am Nic Rohloff. This is NBA Now by Chat Sports. Appreciate you coming in on today's show. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we are 65 subscribers away from 382K. That's a big milestone for us here at the channel. We post daily content around the entire sports world: basketball, football, heck, even baseball sometimes, and some college stuff as well. Make sure you subscribe, specifically if you're an NBA fan. All right, we'll start with this first trade rumor. Could Brandon Ingram head to the Detroit Pistons? Bleacher Report threw out the idea of BI heading to Detroit. And I got to be honest, folks, my first reaction was like, I kind of like it. Like, I don't hate it whatsoever. Now, Brandon Ingram has been subject of a lot of trade rumors as he wants a new contract extension, rumored to want about $50 million per year over 4 seasons, and New Orleans simply just isn't going to pay him that, and they probably shouldn't. But a team like Detroit, who doesn't attract a lot of stars, maybe they could take a swing on Brandon Ingram and acquire him to be their second option to Cade Cunningham. He's someone that consistently scores more than 20 points per game. He's very up and down in terms of his three-point efficiency, but I choose to believe he's an above-average three-point shooter, and we know he's one of the best isolation scorers in basketball as well. With that lengthy wingspan, he allows himself to get in the mid-range, take his defender down into the mid-post and rise over them and finish at the rim. And when you think of what the Detroit Pistons need in order to take that next step and get out of the basement of the Eastern Conference where they've been over the past, decade, ever since Blake Griffin took them to the postseason as an 8 seed, they need a guy to help Cade Cunningham. Now, they got the guy. I think Cade can be a top 1-2 option on a championship contending team as he continues to develop. Not many people have his size, playmaking, scoring ability in the NBA, and they just simply don't have enough scoring around him. They got a nice young piece at center in Jalen Duren. I'm high on Ausar Thompson as his ability to defend and being connective wing, but they just don't have a guy to be the person that helps Cade and gets buckets in big moments. Maybe Tobias Harris does that on a 1-year deal, but the idea of Cade Cunningham and Brandon Ingram teaming up in Detroit, it intrigues me. And I'm not going to say they can win an NBA title because I've been very much on record saying Brandon Ingram likely cannot be a top 2 guy on a championship contending team, and that's why I am not paying him $50 million per season. Do I think he could be a third option like Chris Middleton? Absolutely. But at the top 2, probably not. But maybe they can start making the postseason here and being an intriguing team if a guy steps up, like Ausar Thompson. Maybe Jaden Ivey finally takes a step after he was a top 5 pick. Maybe Marcus Sasser becomes an Andrew Nembhard type piece. I don't know why I just said the one that's still in college. I got college basketball in the mind. But either way, you get Brandon Ingram in this building. You finally get a guy that matches up with Cade Cunningham, turns a little bit older, but still on that younger timetable that can take some of the pressure off of him, creating all the offense, and maybe you have a better basketball team over in the Windy City. All right, predict it for me. This is not when it comes to the Pistons, but will Brandon Ingram be traded this season? Slated to be an unrestricted free agent this upcoming offseason. Will he be dealt before the trade deadline in early February? Let me know. All right, let's shift it over to Zach LaVine because could he be going to the Los Angeles Clippers? Bleacher Report threw out an idea where he joins James Harden and Kawhi Leonard in L.A. And my first initial reaction to this, and I was actually talking about this with our Knicks Now host, Marshall Green, the other day, in just terms of the NBA. The Clippers need another guy, and if they have any inclination on trying to be a playoff team this season and someone who can make noise, they are going to need a third option. They have their top 2 in James Harden and Kawhi Leonard. Paul George is obviously in Philadelphia now. But Harden and Kawhi, you never know what they're going to do in terms of staying healthy and being able to continue to play good basketball. But then you look at the other top 5 guys outside of James and Kawhi Leonard on this team, and it just isn't great. They have a lot of nice wing pieces. Batum, Derrick Jones Jr., Terrence Mann, Amir Coffey, Norman Powell. But when Norman Powell is your consistent third option in terms of scoring, that's a serious issue. Being honest here, do we expect them to be elite this year if Norman Powell is their third option offensively? I don't think that's the case. So maybe Zach LaVine will be that guy who they trade for and ultimately are able to bolster their roster. Talk more about the fit in just a second. But we are sponsored by Prize Picks, and with the basketball season approaching very quickly, make sure you get started with a #1 daily fantasy sports platform, because you can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. And it's the best way to get in on the action, with over 30 states being eligible, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. PrizePicks is the best way to win real money this basketball season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions and knowledge into real money all season long on PrizePicks. I play PrizePicks on a daily basis, and they have a really cool deal for opening night on Tuesday. More than Anthony Edwards, half a point. Take the free square and run with it, folks. You know I got that, because Ant could be having an MVP season up ahead. I'm taking that. Alongside Jaylen Brown, more than 23.5 points, and less than Jalen Brunson, 27.5 points. I can't wait for opening night on Tuesday. Make sure you get your lineup in, and make sure when you do get your lineup in, you take advantage of that free square that PrizePicks is offering you. 1 point equals 1 win. Just take that more than half a point for Anthony Edwards on opening night. Shout out to PrizePicks for offering that daily special. And make sure you download the app and take advantage by using code CLNS, because you will also get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. One more time, download the app and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even need to win. That $50 is guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, back to the Los Angeles Clippers here, because in my opinion, they could be in for a massive regression if they don't find a better third option. When you look around the league, think about this. They were what? The 5 seed last year. They lost the first round to the Dallas Mavericks. And when you think about the rest of the Western Conference, those same top teams are going to be there. But then you got teams like Memphis making a push, Sacramento getting better, adding DeMar DeRozan. The Lakers are still going to be there. The Suns are still going to be there. Like, the top 10 this year was the Warriors and Clippers are the ones that could regress and fall out. Now, I'm not going to say they're going to fall all the way underneath the 10 seed, but it's certainly possible. Who knows if Houston takes that next step? Memphis, I project them to be at least in the top 10. So I could see 1 or 2 teams that were in the top 10 of the Western Conference last year falling out, and I would put the Clippers in the top 2 teams that were in the top 10 last year that could actually fall out if they don't get a better third option. And maybe Zach LaVine is that guy, like we mentioned earlier. Like, this guy could still have it, folks, because in his second preseason game on October 12th, in 22 minutes, he scored 28 points, had 2 steals, shot 6 of 6 from 3, and 9 of 12 from the field. Now, I don't think this is something that is obviously sustainable, but he could still be that guy. And what do I mean by that? Do I think he could be a top 2 player on a championship contending team? No. But guess what? That's the thing. You don't need him to, right? With the Clippers, he would be that third guy complementing James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, helping them take the pressure off them late in games as that third scorer and playmaker, where you could put James Harden, Kawhi Leonard on the bench and trust LaVine to run a unit offensively in the second and third quarters. They need another guy in LA, and Zach LaVine, if he's able to stay healthy and he doesn't have issues with his knees or his feet or his ankle, could still be that offensive presence that he once was back when he was an all-star for the Chicago Bulls. All right, we'll round it out with some Jimmy Butler talk, because Bleacher Report actually threw out 2 potential landing spots for Jimmy if he was traded: the San Antonio Spurs and the Golden State Warriors. And we've talked about the Warriors and Butler quite a bit on this channel during the offseason. It's just simply because it's a great fit for the Warriors if they were looking to make a big splash and trade for a superstar or an all-NBA player, because their roster, as we've talked about with the Clippers and Pistons, aren't that great, and I don't think could contend for a championship right now. I like their pieces. I actually think they might have made improvements to their roster marginally from last year, losing Klay Thompson, but adding DeAnthony Melton, adding Kyle Anderson, adding Buddy Hield, getting Andrew Wiggins a full season, Podziemski in year 2, another step from Kuminga. Like, it's a fun roster that will be a fun team to watch this year. There's no question about it. But if you really do believe that they can win an NBA title with how it's currently constructed, I'm going to have to disagree with you in a pretty big way. It's a fun team, but I could easily see them being the 11th team in the West and being the team that the Memphis Grizzlies eventually replace inside the top 10 of the standings. They need another guy. And we'll talk about if Jimmy Butler could be that guy in just 1 second. But let me know, who will be the next star player in the NBA that is traded? We saw Cat get traded 2 or 3 weeks ago to the Knicks. Who's the next domino that gets dealt? Could it be Brandon Ingram? Could it be Jimmy? Could it be LaVine? Drop a name down in the comment section. I'm going to tell you this. I don't think it's going to be Jimmy Butler because I don't think Jimmy gets traded unless the Heat are a bottom 5 team in the East because they will be a top 10 team in the Eastern Conference. When you think of the bottom of the East this year, it's ugly, folks. You got the Nets. You got the Hornets. You got the Hawks. You got the Pistons. Spacing on a team, and it's driving me absolutely nuts. Wizards. Thank you, Cullen. Sharp move behind the scenes here because those 5 teams stink to high heaven. And there's just no way that the Heat are behind them in the standings, which means they will be in the play-in. And if they're in the play-in, they're likely going to make the postseason because they'd probably be better than the Bulls or Hawks, who I didn't name in that bottom 5. Or Bulls and Raptors, in that bottom 5. So, to me, the Heat are going to be in the postseason this year. And if that's the case, they're likely going to hang on the Jimmy and see what happens and see if they can make a push and ultimately try to re-sign him long term. So I do not see him being someone that the Heat ultimately trade at the trade deadline in February. Well, I'll tell you what, I know it's a long time from now, and what is it? November, December, January, 3.5 months away from now, but we will have you covered at the NBA trade deadline and all the rumors from now until then. So hit that sub button. You also get NFL content daily as well as college football. Join the channel here at Chat Sports. We're going to the moon. Join the rocket ship.